Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Vault, the safe place for paranormal evidence. This is an episode of Storytime. As you should know by now, Storytime episodes are filmed in a special way to help you relax, calm down, and de-stress from the worries of normal life. Before we get into today's story, as always, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click that notification bell. The content of today's story previously was discussed on one of our live streams for the Monty Zone on this channel. In fact, it was our very second live stream when we were very young and just starting out on this channel. I felt it was worth going into this story a little bit more deeper. This is the story of the McMinnville, Oregon photos. Evelyn Trent and her husband Paul lived on a farm 9 miles, which is 15 kilometers, from the Oregon town of McMinnville. At 7:30 p.m. on the 11th of May 1950, Evelyn had been out in the backyard feeding their rabbits. As she made her way back to the house, she spotted what appeared to be a metallic disc in the sky, moving slowly towards the farm from the northeast. Naturally, she shouted for her husband Paul to come outside and take a look. He came out and looked, and then dashed back into the house to get his Kodak camera. He took 2 shots of the object before it shot off in a westerly direction. One might expect after such an experience that the Trents might have immediately dashed into town and got the film developed. They didn't. They waited about 3 days, until roughly Mother's Day, to finish off the roll of film. The timeline gets murky here, according to scientific researcher Dr. Bruce Maccabee, who analysed the photos between 1977 and 1981. The photos were processed. Probably during the following week, they took the film to a local drugstore to have it developed. It probably took a week or more for the film to be returned. The Trents showed the pictures to their family and some friends, and in particular to a boyfriend of one of Mr. Trent's nieces. This young man, Andy Hornis, was in the army and about to travel to Korea. Unfortunately, he was killed before he got there. He apparently took an interest in the photos and suggested that Mr. Trent take them to a local banker, Mr. Frank Wortman. UFO lore is famous for its embroidery, so some accounts one will read of this event state that the roll of film was left in a drawer for weeks or even months. The banker, Frank Wortman, was so intrigued by the pictures, he displayed them in the bank's front window in McMinnville. This aroused the interest of a local reporter, Bill Powell, who asked Mr. Trent to loan him the negatives. Soon the photos became internationally famous. They were reprinted in Life magazine and numerous newspapers, and for half a century have been regarded as genuine by most of the UFO community. The Trents never received a penny for them, despite the fact that after their inclusion in Life, the photographs appeared in media all over the world, and probably made a lot of money for a lot of publications. The Trent's original negatives went missing for some years, until they were discovered in a press archive. Yet the skeptics were soon on the case. Despite the detailed, scientific, positive analysis of the pictures by Dr. Bruce Maccabee, the arch party pooper of all things UFO, the late Philip Julian Klass, an American journalist and UFO researcher, decided that the Trent photographs were a hoax. He even went so far as to suggest that the Trents had manufactured their own UFO and suspended it on a wire. Razor-sharp and keen-minded, Klass, regarded by some as the Sherlock Holmes of ufology, was hugely admired by his disbelieving peers, although respected ufologist Jerome Clark wrote in 2003 that Klass was an obsessed crank who contributed little to the UFO debate except noise, strange rhetoric, pseudo-scientific speculation, and character assassination. Subsequently, detailed analysis of the photos have maintained Maccabee's original deliberation. They are real. If they were innocent of hoaxing, then one can only feel for the now departed Evelyn and Paul Trent, simple farming folk who were pestered for years by cranks and harassed by phone calls, whilst their pictures brought them nothing but scrutiny and ridicule from the likes of Klass, and also piles of profit for the media. The McMinnville UFO photographs remain among the best publicized in UFO history. They are the most analyzed scientifically by experts. Ufologists continue to argue that the Trent photos are credible evidence that UFOs are real physical phenomenon. The Trents have consistently been described as honest, simple farm folk who never attempted to profit from their photographs nor the notoriety they brought them. Evelyn Trent died in 1997 and Paul Trent in 1998. Both insisted until the end of their lives that the sighting and the photos were genuine. The interest surrounding the Trent UFO photos led to an annual UFO festival being established in McMinnville. It is now the largest such gathering in the Pacific Northwest and is second largest UFO festival in the nation of the United States after the one held in Roswell, New Mexico. I hope you enjoyed today's story and you can join us next time for story time. In the meantime, it's time to go back to the surface. I'll see you next time here in the vault. In the meantime, stay safe and look after yourself. Good night.